Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis.
I'm the disembodied voice.
And this is...
No Capes. I always hesitate, I know.
I know. And this is for books the July 20th. We have a massive pile! Because it was a sick week of books.
Truth.
Sick being cool, dude. For sizzle, yeah.
Yeah, we're so straight.
Word. So, Exodus, The Life After, issue number 6. Seems like it was a long time.
It has been a long time. 8 years, as a matter of fact.
But in the comic.
Yes. It has been a long time since a new Exodus, though.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, like I just said, 8 years. I heard you open the book and say, I hate it when the first thing I see is 8 years later. And I don't like that either. But in this case, it's not too bad. But there are people who are still worshiping God, but they actually call him the potato.
The potato. That's so awesome.
Kind of awesome.
And for me, that's just more justification that I called it as a potato from the very beginning.
Yes.
And everybody's like, no, it's a rock. I'm like, no,
It's a
dude,
potato.
it's a potato.
I love the fact that they serve potato soup, and she's like, there are no potatoes in this. And they said, well, actually, we just bathed the potatoes in the broth. So it's dirt soup.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, it's Esmeralda.
Right, so 8 years later, the last issue ended with this kind of scene, potentially Jude is this older, bitter, kind of a, I've seen what's really there and it's not worth it kind of a person, and that's kind of where we're taking off from.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get mostly the story is Esmeralda, the young samurai-ish, foul-mouthed girl who is gathering an army to take off take out the potato, and it's got kind of stranglehold on reality and everything, and yeah, clearly potato worshippers are not. They've sold her out by the end of the issue to her mom, who's running some gnarly corporation, and we get a little bit of feminist, misogynist attack there with the whole.
Because they keep saying sir. And
of course, because her back is to, and she's got the big chair, so, it's the exec in the chair, and she turns around and kind of scolds them for the whole...
Yeah, why does everybody always assume that it's a...
If it's a major, successful corporation, that it's a male, right?
Anyway, yeah, and it turns out that she's looking for her daughter. And I don't know if she's in charge of what's going on with the potato, but she does seem to be in charge of something.
Well... Yeah, she certainly got leverage over the cult of potato.
Yes, over the potato worshippers.
Who clearly aren't supposed to be worshiping the potato. Jude must have a lot of power, because it seems to me like that they're kind of trying to scourge everything. Because they are attacked, they are being chased down by the mind police, it seems like, of some sort. So, don't know exactly what's going on. Excited to have the book back. I've really enjoyed it. This issue didn't have me super excited, though, as far as what's next. And maybe that's just because the honeymoon's over and now it's just all going to be the cold reality of what's really there. I mean, because we got some pretty shocking reveals at the end of the last arc of this, where it was, that the universe really is just this mindless, uncontrolled spinning thing or it's really nothing. There's really nothing there.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I am not ready to give up on the book. I love the character.
Well, book's going away.
Esmeralda.
I mean, it's only got so many more issues left.
I know, but I wouldn't quit reading it before.
Right. Well, heck no.
But I don't know. We'll see. That's where I am right now. Is Mom evil? I
right.
don't know.
And we haven't seen Hemingway back. Is Hemingway gone?
I hope not.
Which is ridiculous, because I'm not really a Hemingway fan, but I like the character in this comic.
Hemingway, yes.
Yeah.
I read that book with the fish.
Yes, exactly. Which I actually have. BPRD, Hell on Earth, issue number 143. We're back on the main story, because we had that 3-issue break of that kind of monster hunter, woman kind of doing her own thing.
Right.
But now we're back on the main story with what's going on in the world with Liz and Johan fighting the big monster, slowly destroying. Because the problem is the big monster has basically slithered its way across the world and is just pooping monsters out everywhere, and they can't seem to figure out how to. They nuke with the few missiles they have left that they can still control, they nuke the big monster and it just
And
kind
it
of
still shrugs it off.
it shrugs it off, lasts through the mushroom cloud and goes on its way, kind of a thing. They're able to kill off the spawn, but they haven't been able to figure out how to kill off the big thing.
Exactly. And it's all feeling pretty end of the worldish over there.
Extremely.
For real. And then meanwhile we've got the little Russian girl.
Well, she's not a Russian girl. She's some kind of a doll thing, whatever.
She's a horrible
but
demon
but
doll
there's
thing.
what's his name? Petrov, whatever.
Right.
The Russian head of the equivalent of the Russia's version of the BPRD.
Right.
Who has always been kind of haunted by this child that he's had in a glass bottle. He has finally decided to let her loose because she's part of hell, and she says if she's let loose that she can counteract,
right,
save humanity from what is happening to the earth, of course, questionably at the cost of selling humanity out to back to hell again.
Right. So
which of course in the BPRD world, hell is kind of a joke in the grand scheme of things. Hell is a very weak power, and even weaker because of course Hellboy has freaking killed.
Yeah,
all the
done. His dad's
Hellboy has killed in hell, has killed all of the lords, or the ones he hasn't killed then have been overrun by the Denzians of hell. So hell is a very weak power in the grand scheme of things because the more dangerous and violent power is this thing from the stone that's floating in the universe and all that more eldritch horror scariness.
Does what's her name know that?
Which what's her name? I don't.
Our little girl thing from the jar. Does she know that hell is?
Well, she clearly gets a picture of that because he lets her loose, and Denzians show up to inform her that they're nothing now. Of course, she puts on the ring and takes her true form. Her true form is she's a complete demon. I mean, she is a demon.
Yeah, she is a demon.
That they've kind of tricked and captured all this time. She's got power. She scares those minions off like they're nothing.
That's true.
So I don't know. She's been separated from hell. So how bad it is, I don't know that she knows how bad it is. I think we'll find that out. But she's pretty badass looking.
Yeah, she is.
They got her as the big giant hulking demon with the very small wings, I think is what she ultimately ends up looking like. But it was kind of cool to see, there she is at the end of it, which was cool. Because normally, like I said, she's this cute little Russian girl that almost looks like a doll. I mean, she especially looks like a doll because most of the time she's under a glass in a bell jar, is where they had her trapped. And so, see, there she is along with Petrov walking along. But yeah, still super stoked by this. It is really feeling very doom and gloom. Everybody has ran from the Colorado bunker, which is supposed to be the bunker, is supposed to survive nuclear bombs and that sort of stuff. And they've pretty much decided that they've abandoned it, except for a few people. The head of BPRD, she hasn't abandoned because I think she kind of feels like if she leaves, it's
the end.
It's the end. It's the end of everything if they leave.
And she doesn't want it to be. It's
right.
And it is potentially the end of everything. So
right. I'm quite honestly, if anybody else out there knows, I'm not 100% what happens. At one point, I thought that BPRD was going to go on. The Hell on Earth storyline was going to end, and then they were going to have a new something, and maybe Mignola wasn't going to be as involved in it. Now it's really feeling like it's just going to be the end, that's over. You kind of read the letters columns, and the way Scott Alley talks in there, it almost feels like we're rolling into an end and there's nothing afterwards. And I just have no idea what Dark Horse is going to be. I mean, a quarter of their catalog is Hellboy, BPRD oriented type stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's really what's going to happen. I thought Mike was just going to kind of take a back seat, and that they would they would keep moving with it. But I can certainly see why I wouldn't want to give creative power to somebody else, I guess. But anyway, letter 44, issue number 26, which is really fascinating. This has to end pretty quick.
How many are there?
I don't know. I can't remember what issue it ends on, but I know there's an ending. But it has to end pretty quick because pretty soon we're going to get letter 45 in the real world.
That's true.
So, of course, in this world there may not be a letter
45.
Well, no, there's only 666 people are going to survive this thing, supposedly.
Exactly. Supposedly. But then again, we've got what's going on with the chandelier people.
But the chandelier people are the people that sent the guy down to tell everybody that the asteroid's going to hit and another thing.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
Well, maybe they've been convinced of something else. Maybe they got two things going on now. They've got the guy down on the ground who's saying, we got to gather up 66 people. This asteroid's going to hit. It's going to annihilate everything. And 66 people, 666, sorry, are the only people that are going to survive, and that's what's going to be what's left for the human race. But yeah, we've got clearly they're trying to influence the people in the chandelier, the aliens in the chandelier, using Astra, and that chandelier is now tapped into.
Saturn? Jupiter?
Is it Neptune? I think it's one of the gas giants. One of the gas giants, they've relit it, basically. They lit it up like a sun, and they're using it as a power source. For God knows what, we're not sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting finding out. There was a chunk of this book where I was kind of just slogging along with the rest of us, especially during Carol's, former President Carol's thing.
Right.
Oh, and then there's a lady from the bunker
who was trying to get out.
Looking very good for her.
Right, she's wandering across the Nevada desert, probably going to die.
Yeah.
She's got 3 days without food and water. She's going to be screwed.
And she just fell and looks like she broke her leg. So.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That's not looking very good. And her phone's broken. Anyway, yes, I, for the most part, have really enjoyed this book, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I love Astra. She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. As all along, I've always liked the story. I'm still not excited by the art. 26 issues in, but the story's good enough that I overlook the aspects of the art that bother me. So, cool stuff. Astro City number 37. Kind of a one and done to a degree. Kind of tells us kind of this urban myth, which some of the superheroes in the Astro City world kind of are urban myths in a sense. And this is one that has to do with music and do I want to say black culture in a sense? Because that's what it's protecting, and that's who it's protecting, right?
True. It is.
It comes out of kind of back in the day in America anyway. There were lots of places where you'd have like a city, Beantown, and then like just outside of Beantown you'd have Yellow Rock, and Yellow Rock was basically a black mirror of what the white city equivalent was, and that's kind of what this has to do with in a sense. In that there was basically the African American town, and people would come into that and kind of, to some degree, steal the culture that was there. This was ragtime, is what it started out as,
right.
and then some some white folk came and liked the ragtime too, and then it kind of some racists didn't like it basically.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that white people were
mingling with blacks. Heaven forbid that happen, and then so they attack the place, and then this kind of musical spirit embodies ragtime. I can't remember what he was called at the time.
Cakewalk, because
Cakewalk.
it was after the old cakewalk dance that was a dance that was to make fun of slave owners,
right,
of the masters. But then the cakewalk was adopted by white minstrels,
right,
and became part of the minstrel show.
Right. So the character, the hero is around for a while helping, and then kind of disappears, and then reappears again in the Jazz Age. So it's like it kind of embodies that. So
you don't think that we're going to see other incarnations? You think that's it?
Well, we might, but I don't know if we'll see more of that right away.
Oh, okay.
The way Astro City is kind of done, in lots of times you see this aspect of the city or this aspect of this character for a while, and then we go tell another story for a while, and then we come back and show some more aspects of that, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The last stuff we just read, we saw a little bit of aspects of kind of the lineage of Jack in the Box.
Mm-hmm.
We're done with that for a while, and then that's kind of typically how Astro City tends to be written. So.
Well, the Jazz Age hero was really classy looking.
Yeah, she was. And interesting that she's a she.
Yeah.
As opposed to the he the first time around. So, a book that I don't know, maybe it should have been in the No Capes. I'm not 100% sure. Black Hammer, issue number 1. Jeff Lemire's new book. Dean Ostrom on art, and of course they have our wonderful Dave Stewart doing colors. This book was delayed by like 8 months or something like that because something medical happened to the artist, and instead of going forward with the book, even though they had all the advertisement and everything ready to go, they held off until he was back able to do the book, which is cool. So basic kind of premise is we have the equivalent of kind of like a Justice Society. It's the old school kind of golden age feel type
definitely
heroes,
golden age
and
heroes.
something happened, and they've kind of been retired and put off in a place called Blackhammer, kind of a little farming.
No, I thought Black
town.
Hammer's the name of one of
Oh,
the
you're right.
heroes.
But they're put off in this like little farming town kind of thing where they can't acknowledge who they are. They can't be heroes. They can't
They
do all this
can't
stuff.
really use their
and
powers.
they've been there.
They've
been there for
one
10
of them
years.
At least has been put into a. They've all kind of been. They've embodied different family members, and so the female team member is a little girl now, like a 9-year-old
No,
girl.
she was always a little girl.
I'm confused.
I think she was always a little girl, and I think she's the equivalent of Shazam, of Captain Marvel, so she can go blah blah her magic
transform
word, and then
to
she
a-
turns into an adult.
Okay, well she can't do that anymore,
Right,
but she can still fly.
clearly.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have some aspects, but not all the aspects of their things. They basically, by the end of the story, we get the impression that they were in this massive, massive fight, and Blackhammer, the hero Blackhammer, sacrificed himself in some way, and it saved the rest of them. But in the process of them being saved, they were kind of imprisoned in this.
Yeah, like maybe an alternate universe.
In where they're at now. We don't know all those aspects.
Yeah.
But I really, really love this comic because it has that such a gritty kind of old school golden age heroes. I mean, the alien guy that's in this just has a definite 1950s alien aspect. You know,
Oh, for sure.
You know, warlord hero to him. The robot is very much a 1950s style type robot hero. The his partner is the crazy scientist who's really gone off the deep end. He spends more time in. I think he's supposed to be kind of like an Adam Strange equivalent, and he spent so much time in the Zeta verse that he's kind of fractured and kind of loonies. He's fighting potentially
he has a tendency
imaginary.
also to fade.
Right.
To more
And not remember what's going on because he repeats things lots of times. You know, our Superman character seems to be the character who is come to terms the most. He wants to move on with his life. Everybody else still kind of wants to go back to the golden age.
They want to get off the farm.
Really like it. Really like the art. Like the idea of it. They kind of, as we're introduced these characters, we kind of get kind of a showing what they were like in the past, kind of a thing to get those elements. And those elements are, like I said, are all just really well done. Like I said, they have this really early, I don't know, 40s, 50s feel to it. That early hero kind of aspect to it, and I'm curious to see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. I really, really like this first issue.
They're celebrating like the anniversary of their coming to the farm.
Right, that's where it ends out with them.
Yep. And how long is it? Like,
10
what,
years.
10 years. Yeah, 10 years.
They've been stuck
And
here.
they have an Enchantress-y type partner that isn't really a part of their lives and just shows up for the
Right.
anniversary.
Right.
So yeah, should be an interesting.
And some of them, like I said, some of them are adjusting to how it is. This is how it's going to be, and others would really like the hell to go back to what it was.
Yep.
And the only thing about this that makes me nervous is it's a Duff Lemire book, and here lately, the way Lemire's books have ended,
Right.
and this is a miniseries,
You mentioned that.
makes me nervous. But really like this issue. It hit some really good nerves as far as what if the Justice Society, this kind of thing happened to them, and they had to adjust this whole different kind of a deal.
Right.
Really cool. Really cool. Clean Room, issue number 10. I'll let you talk about this.
Why?
Go ahead.
Well, this is like one of the first ones I read, so it's been a while since I read it. Well, let's see. We have Chloe trying to rescue Spark. This is the one I said had too many moving pieces, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't remember now. Anyway, yes, it is. It is. And then it's got the brother, Mueller's brother, and their weird ass pyramid scheme.
Well, Miller's brother really is just briefly and almost no aspect at all.
He was a tool of the company.
Right, you're tying him into, there's a competitive company, another
a healthy life company.
Amway version of a self-help group that's like in competition with
and it's
Miller's.
definitely got that pyramid feel to it.
With Miller's her self-help kind of a thing.
And they have a room too, but it's not very clean. It's pretty painful and awful and yeah. And they supposedly have these serious Christian values, but you know.
Right, but they're also, I mean, basically, if your sales go down too much, they haul you into this room and they dress up in very over the top, bizarre S&M-y kind of stuff, and then basically torture you to death.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then later they talk about sending their prayers because they're in the hospital. They've had an accident or something.
Right. And they're trying on a corporate level, they're trying to weasel their way in to take over Muller's place. They're showing up and going, oh, well, we're going to help these poor people who continue to need guidance. Why whatever's going on with Muller, she fixes herself or whatever kind of thing. So there's this panic amongst Muller's people that these guys are muscling their way in. They'd like to just kill him, but you can't just simply do that. Kind of a thing. And then you've got one of Muller's right-hand mans, the guy who basically brings the tea and all that sort of stuff. You go home and you find out that he has been kind of a turncoat to some degree.
Right.
He has fed some information to Hell, the people upstairs, Hell, in this book. They show back up again. Basically, the guy that attempted to kill Chloe shows back up again to him and wants more help and stuff. And basically shows him what happens if you don't help. You know, because the guy goes, I'm not helping you anymore. I'm giving you some information, it's fine. Actually, actively doing all this stuff, no. Forget it, I'm not doing that at all. And he shows him what's going to happen to his partner, because we find out that he's gay, he has a male lover. What's going to happen to his male lover if he doesn't comply. And we get a picture of Pony Man. And not in the kinky, well, originally in the kind of, in the sexual aspect, the sexual aspect of, you know, I'm gonna dress up and wear a saddle and have the reins and whatnot, and that whole girls love horses thing, whatever. And they take it to a much further extent. I mean, he literally molds a guy into
He has made a human being into what looks like. Well, can you show that?
I don't know if I can.
Can you maybe show the face? Because he's not wearing anything.
Well, what good would a pony man be if he was wearing clothes?
And he's crying, and you feel so.
Yeah, but he's getting some.
Oh yeah, sugar cubes.
He's getting some sugar cubes.
All better. Give him a break.
So anyway, let's see.
It's awful.
There he is. I mean, his arms are welded together, and of course he's got the whole pony head, and I can't show you the lower half because of course he doesn't. You know, he's got horsey legs. Other appropriate male anatomy, because what good is a pony boy if he doesn't have the right anatomy? Anyway, this is what's going to happen. Not to you. We're not threatening you. We're going to threaten your loved ones.
Yes, which is always far more effective.
Sure.
And then,
or do I go make your bedroom a petting zoo?
Yes. And poor Chloe is trying to figure out how to save Spark, and Spark is being tortured to death after he saved.
Spark is a cleansed demon that saved Muller, and of course they've captured him and are torturing him. And Chloe's trying to get him back. And the company, Miller's company, has shown up and given her a new car and all this stuff.
Thank you, gifts.
Right, which she does not want to be bought, but at any rate. Yeah, it's complicated. I still really like it. She was incredibly creepy. The whole Ponyboy thing was like, so.
Yeah.
You know?
I just feel like there was a twang to his voice when he said, I made myself a pony man.
Pony man.
A pony man.
Well, that, and like I said, the last words of the thing are, you going to comply now, or are we going to turn your bedroom into a petting zoo?
Yes, it's just...
Oh, God.
No, thank you.
Right? Ooh. Ooh. So, on to another Vertigo book. Lucifer, issue number 8. Love that cover. That Dave Johnson cover is really cool looking.
Yeah.
That's that cool design of the character with that half mask thing going on. And this issue is mostly about Mazikeen.
Yep.
She gets herself removed from the throne. We find out exactly why she's on the throne, why she's nailed to the throne, because both hands are nailed to the arms of it. She's not going to call in Lucifer to help her fight this fight. She's going to fight it herself against Lucifer's like half-child, whatever, that he's supposedly that's going to try and take over hell.
Right.
And Mazikeen is a wicked fighter. I mean, that's really what her purpose originally was to...
And she lets...
She kills her brother.
Yeah, I know, which is...
Guts her brother like a fish, because he's the one that nailed her to the thing. He thinks it's fun. Because, of course, it's hell, and they're all demented.
Right. She's nailed to the throne because they didn't quite trust her, and then they were going to unnail her later, and then he likes her being nailed to it, and he's the only one that could fix it. Yeah, he's the only one with the power to whatever. So she has, was it Raphael? Who was it that killed Metatron? Michael. Really? Okay.
Michael. Uh-huh.
Yeah. The one with the...
No, it wasn't Michael. It was Raphael, wasn't it?
It's Raphael.
It is Raphael.
With the pretty plumage?
No, that isn't who does it. It's our ex-angel that lost his
so
wings.
it's Raphael who cuts her hands off.
Right, because she
and
can't.
then she grows new hands because,
Right.
She's awesome like that.
Yeah.
But what my favorite part of this is?
Of course I know what it is.
Okay, good. You can tell me.
It's the African-American girl, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't remember her name right
And
now.
how she can see demons.
Right,
She
so
finally meets
she's
somebody else who
she's
can see
hiding
demons.
in her brother because her brother's adopted by somebody else, hiding in his closet while the parents are home, and she's been living there for a couple of weeks now. But she's wandering around the neighborhood, and she runs into another girl who basically is kind of like her, can see the demons and whatnot. Her mom's a witch or something along those lines,
Right.
and it's just real casual. They clearly know each other are odd from everybody else, and that makes them instant friends with each other, kind of a thing. So.
And I'm hoping that they come clean to her brother's two moms soon.
Yeah.
Because I know they're going to be okay with it. They're not going to want her to have lived in that freaky, abusive.
Yeah, the crazy Christian place that they're in.
Yeah,
They're torturing
no.
her and stuff. Yeah.
So, no. So, she's my favorite. She's my favorite part of it.
Yeah. And love the art. Gabret's art, who used to do Loki. Last place we saw him at.
Yes.
But he's just, nails the kids and all that kind of stuff really well. Really like his stuff. So, yeah, cool. Next up is Sombra. Issue 1 of 4. This is a Boom Studio thing. Justin Jordan writing it. Raul Trevino is doing the art. One aspect of this book, I believe, the book is more inspired by the artist than it is by the writer, because, of course, he lives in Mexico. He basically is kind of experiencing what's happening to his country. So some aspects of it I know come from his own personal experience on the book, and Justin Jordan helping put words to it.
Gotcha.
So basic premise is there is this a female FBI agent. Is she FBI?
DEA?
DEA.
Well, Dad's DEA. I don't know if she's FBI and Dad's DEA.
Anyway, she's an agent, kind of working her way up and whatnot, and it's the whole border thing going on between the United States and Mexico, and the cartels that are down there, and all the horrible stuff that's going on. And her dad was like uber agent. He was like the best of the best and whatnot, and he seems to go off the rails. Went so deep undercover that he's basically kind of maybe his own cartel, or is it just killing?
No, he's killing cartel people.
He's killing cartel people.
Yeah, but in really cartel-esque ways, nailing them to things.
Right, chopping bits of body parts off, and so that sort of thing. And she's kind of been charged to find him, but of course she's also been, her own personal, she needs to find her father because her father's gone off
Because her father's her father.
Right. For me, it immediately felt kind of Heart of Darkness / Apocalypse Now. In just the
made really good sense.
the aspect is that she's kind of being sent in to bring back or take care of their problem, because he's not something that anybody's admitting to. It's a secret problem. No one's admitting to the fact that one of their own people is out there and is a bigger butcherer than the cartel people are themselves. Kind of a thing. So, like the art, it's interesting.
Yeah.
4 issues, I'm on board.
Yeah, I want to see where it goes.
Yeah. Anything else to say?
No.
So.
It was just definitely a beginning. Oh, well, the poor little creepy kid who bites his own fingers.
Oh, yeah. Because he's been convinced by Dad that that's what he should be doing.
No, by the person who works with Dad. Bullia.
Which basically is by Dad.
Sure.
Yeah. They come across a kid who starts the thing out and is walking along and he's got his hand wrapped and bleeding, and he finally shows up where these people are at, and he's all collapsed, and they get him to the hospital, and he's literally missing his fingers, and you find out that how he's missing his fingers is he freaking bites them off.
Yeah, because he's convinced that would be a thing to do after he finds out how. And he doesn't say what he's been shown to make him do that.
Right.
But they think that some drug cartel has chopped his hands,
right.
his fingers off.
Right,
and
of course there's all the elements of if you rat on the cartels, and the cartels have everybody bought, that you end up dead. There's a reporter in here that she gets some information from when she starts working in Mexico, and that reporter ends up like dead at his computer with a cane, shoved down his throat, clear through his body, kind of stuff.
I thought that was
he was his own walking cane.
Oh, it was his cane.
Because he got hurt before.
Wow.
It's his walking cane crammed down through his throat. Kind of thing. So everybody ends up, and so the people who she was kind of working with, there were some Mexican officials that kind of warned her that maybe she shouldn't be doing this, and of course now they got a whole army worth of people out chasing her down, kind of thing, and you're not 100% sure whether they're good guys or bad guys. You get the feeling that they're bought. So, yeah, interesting though.
Yep.
Next up, we have Magnus the Black Mystery, the Black Road. Issue number 4, the Shield Wall. What happened to the wolves?
That's the question we are both wondering. They've been injured, at least she has broken ribs. But the wolves are gone. They're
right.
walking across the lake.
Because last issue was them being swarmed by wolves, and that's how it ended and whatnot. So clearly they survived that. They're injured. Slowly crawling across this lake, which has no road because clearly it's a frozen over lake. They're going to reach the road on the other side. This is kind of a shortcut, but clearly has them exposed, being out in the middle of this lake.
All their footprints. And
right, and as they're trudging along, you get some more back history for both of them. For him, you get kind of how he ends up being kind of the mercenary kind of guy he is. Early on, he lived inside a lake and fought for some warlords, and some of those warlords, took things to a personal level and basically destroyed his family and that sort of thing. And
the village blamed him.
Right, and so that's how he ends up being kind of the wandering mercenary that he is now. We get some back history on her.
She was a slave.
Yeah.
That was purchased. She is Jewish.
Right.
And the cardinal sees her playing with the bow.
Trying to shoot the bow. She's not playing with it.
Well,
she's trying to figure out how to shoot it. And of course the bow is way too strong for her to actually...
So he is going to set her up with a crossbow and her actual training.
Right.
Which is nice. Right.
That she'll never be strong enough to pull a real bow, he tells her, so I will send you to the armorer and you will get a crossbow. So that's how she ends up knowing how to shoot a crossbow and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
And of course, we had this whole aspect on his history of people who were at the town and that sort of stuff, and he's going to run back into the blacksmith. And it seems like that him being to run to this blacksmith again is not going to be a good thing.
Sure.
This blacksmith is out to collect. Whether personally or financially, out to collect.
And she's
chasing
following them.
Chasing them down, basically. And they're not sure they're going to clear the lake. If they keep going at the speed they're going, they might be able to clear the lake. Chances are they're not. He keeps
saying comforting things to her, and she says comforting things to him, and they're both thinking,
we're screwed.
Yeah.
We're screwed. Really like the book. Love the art.
Yep. There isn't really anything about that I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say about it right now.
Okay. Next up is Aftershocks comic. This is Second Sight, issue number 6. David Hine and the wonderful Alberto Ponticelli.
A whole lot of stuff goes down in this issue.
Yes, this is basically the end of an arc. I hope it's just the end of an arc, not the end of the thing.
Me too.
Love that cover where it's both of them on the cover, split. Because, of course, she starts eating an assload of psychedelic mushrooms, hoping that she has the same powers that Dad has, to find where Dad's at, because Dad's been captured by the evil people.
And she can't, she's talking to him psychically, but she can't get them to reveal where he is, so she steps into his body. Right,
like he typically would do. They end up working out to figure out where they're at and whatnot, to go and save him. We basically get a larger exposure of the Wednesday Club, and supposedly the Wednesday Club is kind of shut down. That's stuff that people did. We don't need to bring that up now because all these people that are part of the Wednesday Club are doing the greater good, supposedly.
Right.
Blah, 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 which is all horse shit, right?
And if the info gets out, they're going to kill everybody's loved ones.
Well, that's what they end up saying. They basically say, okay, look, because we're at a stalemate. Because they basically go, if we die, all that information is going to be automatically uploaded. And they're like, well, we can't just let you leave because you're going to upload it anyway. So here's the deal. Basically, we're going to let you live, but if this stuff is ever exposed or you threat of it being exposed, we're going to kill your loved ones. And to prove we're serious...
Yeah, we got a head start with the ex-cop's wife. She's
right,
dead.
Right, which is horrible. Just to prove... So they're at this giant... End the thing, more people get murdered.
They kind of take out one of the people that...
They had redheaded...
Yeah, kind of...
Dickbag.
One life for a life kind of deal. And
right.
Then they make the next person down call and make sure the deal is still in place. And of course it is.
Right.
Because no matter how important you think you are working for this, if you're not one of the actual members, then your life is expendable.
Right. Well, because the whole one person isn't as important as the whole.
Yeah.
So we're at the stalemate. They have all the information they need to expose, all the big name people in the world, at least in the England area, London, as being total scumbags. But they can't really expose that, because if they expose that, then all of their loved ones are going to be killed off. And there's a big list. They were given a huge list of all the people that they won't be killed. Everyone around them will be killed. Horribly.
Yes.
Horribly killed. It ends with her calling a girlfriend, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Alice. At the end of it. But it says the end.
So I guess, I don't know.
I hope there's more. I haven't really seen. That's the one thing that's weird about the whole aftershock stuff. It's just like, it felt like they were kind of talking like Insects was the end too, and I have recently seen the writer of that go, no, that's not that's the end of that arc.
Right.
I got lots more craziness to tell, so hope that's the way with this too.
Sure.
There's just not as much information coming out from this smaller company, but really like the stuff that they're doing. Really love this book. Really like.
Yeah, I do too.
Love the art and all that kind of stuff about it. So good stuff. It was a cool first arc. And of course, it ends. You still get that creepy guy at the end.
Yes,
our
that's
main
now
murderer.
part of both of them.
Right.
Because she's been with her dad. So
right. That
now
connection.
he's
Now
part
it's a
of both of
three-way
them.
connection.
Yes.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. That's even cooler. Okay, next up is She-Wolf. Spell number 2.
Number 2, and
Mirror walking.
a much better, more coherent
Well,
issue.
it's linear. This one's linear
Yes.
as opposed to being some looping
and
psycho dream.
I actually liked it. I liked it better. I really did.
So, of course, if you're going to have werewolves, what else do you have to have?
Gotta have some vampires.
Yep,
Got a vampire. So
Yep.
and she meets a vampire, and of
And-
course she meets her in all places in a mall restroom, and so the vampire standing outside the stall door saying,
I can smell you. This is a yard.
I can smell you, and she's like, I'm not even,
Right.
And
Gross.
so yes, but then she explains.
Yeah, she kind of knows more about werewolves than what she does. There's some conversation about how we can figure out how to control it.
Yeah,
She starts to
and
lose
thinks
control.
That the boyfriend scratched her, and that's where she got lycanthropy.
Right,
And
but
at the very end, we find out that that's potentially not the
yeah,
case.
that might be dad or whatever. But there's all kinds of stuff in here. She ends up slipping into a werewolf. They spend time in Dreamland, and while they're in Dreamland, all kinds of crazy stuff. There's some
they're
stuff.
learning to control their
Right,
powers.
Right. So part of it is kind of this Aztec-y kind of thing, and then they're in the slides, and she keeps asking the vampire, "How come you aren't burning to a crisp?" Because we're
Because we're still in the public toilet.
I mean, I'm wearing sunscreen, and in reality, no, we're still staying in the public toilet. She slips into werewolf mode. They do some running around. She almost kills the vampire. We meet the vampire's mom. There's all these wonderful kind of crazy dream aspect and whatnot, things in it. I really enjoyed the issue. It's bonkers. The art is different, and it's just kind of trippy to a degree. And I'm having fun going for the ride. They shove her through a mirror in this issue for her to kind of get an exposure as to what really makes her what she is, because they're all like, "Oh, silly girl, you're being fooled into tricked into thinking that you were turned into a werewolf by somebody when that's really not the case." She's rocking the Space Invaders at the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah,
No.
pretty much easier read, and I can get more of the fun out of the comic now that we've kind of got our basics.
That first issue was frustrating the way it was written.
Yes.
For sure. Anything else you want to say about that?
Nope.
Next up is Casanova, Acedia number 6.
And I'll let you talk about that.
I absolutely love Casanova, always do. Love the characters, love Matt Fraction's writing in it. Fabio Moon, stellar artist.
Excellent.
So in this issue, we're getting further exposure. More stuff's coming back to Casanova. He's getting a larger picture of who his boss really is, and that sort of stuff. The group that Casanova has messed with, all the people that Casanova has messed with throughout all of the Casanova books, a large group of them are kind of in the metaverse, and they're going after Casanova. Most of them want Casanova dead in one way or another, and they have sent people back to try and get him. And they're showing up in the form of these kind of magic demon things that we see in this issue, and but they don't have complete control of their faculties or their memories to be able to effectively deal with Casanova, and they end up getting screwed by other people. Instead of Casanova, they get put down by some other mage type people and whatnot. But there's lots of kind of meta stuff that goes on in this that's not 100%, grounded in reality, but still makes sense to me anyway.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a trippy book. I really enjoy it. It's not something you just jump onto.
No.
As far as that goes, but I think it's a really smart book. Then there's the whole backstory, the Metanauts, which has been kind of cool. It's even trippier. I think sometimes that Michael Cabron is trying to out Matt Fraction. When it comes to this, it does feel that way. And of course, he's got Gabriel Ra doing the art, so it matches up really well with Fabio's art, and just makes a really, really cool comic. That may not be for everybody, but I just love it. I love the style, love the vibe of it, love the look of it.
I like this comic. I like the characters, and I read it for what it is, and I enjoy it for what it is, and I don't try to make perfect sense out of everything because that would just be too frustrating. I tried doing that the first time because I didn't understand the concept of Casanova until, we got a few issues in, and then, okay.
Right.
And then you just enjoy it, and it makes sense when you enjoy it.
Right. Large chunks of it, you're kind of along for the ride, and pieces of it mesh together, and some of it never meshes together. It's just part of the trip, kind of thing, I think. So, but I really like it. Next up is issue number, what is this, 9 of Wolf.
How many are there? Is this a limited series? Or
I have no idea. I think it's an ongoing until they don't want to pay the people to do it, or it completely quits selling. I don't know a whole lot of people who are still picking it up.
I don't know. This issue is really depressing because it's there's been this giant setup essentially to kill Alice.
Yeah, our
Antichrist.
werewolf girl, right?
Werewolf Antichrist girl.
Right.
That's what all of this bleeding of her friend and all of this stuff has been about all this time.
Mm-hmm. To charge her up to a certain degree, and whereas the end of the first arc, we thought that they figured out how to play them instead of them being played. They're still being played. That Wolf wasn't as smart as what he thought he was. Yeah, depressing, dark. I still like it, but this last couple issues feel like it's been a lot for very little payoff, kind of thing. So I'm not sure that I've been that excited about it because of that.
Right. I know we had such really interesting character development, and then it just kind of has been slogging through what ended up being this very dark ending. And so
so this guy still gets the power that they tried avoiding him getting in the first place. The only reason he had this daughter was to sacrifice her. Yeah. I don't know what's next.
Okay, guess we'll wait and see.
No idea. But I'll keep getting it. I'm interested enough to keep getting it. What's going on with it? Next up is Lazarus issue number 23.
Yep.
What do we think?
I am very interested in Forever issue 7. That is who the story has been sold to me.
Right.
And so I am very emotionally invested in Forever. And now I understand that she is the 7th incarnation of Forever. And we are seeing...
And 8 is a teenager.
Yeah, and she's starting to... I'm wondering, what happened to 1 through 6? Did they rebel? Were they killed in duty? Did they, I don't know what happened.
Are they still out there?
Incarnation number 7 is...
Well, somebody slipped some information to number 7 that kind of started this whole down this where she's going now to imply that she's not what
she thought she was. She always thought she was a typical born child of the family. And she's actually more of a created science project of the family.
Yeah.
And who wants to be that? I mean, you don't want to feel like this family that you have always been fighting for, sworn to. These are your brothers and sisters.
And what's weird is that the head of the Carlisle house, the father, he seems to actually legitimately have an attachment to Forever.
Yeah, to all of the Forevers,
right.
I think.
I think he sincerely, not just because they're an asset, but I think he really feels like he has some sort of emotional attachment to Forever that he doesn't have with the rest of his kids.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that it doesn't matter which Forever, because he visits the young Forever.
And treats her just like the other one.
Yeah. And
which is completely different than
we saw the history of Forever number 7. That wasn't just Forever number 8 training. You think it was Forever number 8 training. Well, whichever it is, I believe that he's probably that way with every Forever.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she's called Forever, and she's the one family member that isn't Forever, I don't know.
But she is.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's weird that there's clones, incarnations, however you want to call it.
And then beyond Forever herself, this issue goes, there's a lot goes on here that has nothing to do with her
so
in particular.
much. Yeah.
The political stuff that's going on, the battles that are going on, the dad telling his daughter, who's technically in charge, what she needs to take care of. You get the impression that Sonya's not long for this world either, even though she did just beat.
Exactly.
She wrecks the bitters.
Yeah.
The bitters. Lazarus,
Yeah.
which is awesome. She freaking beheads him. That's badass.
It was pretty fabulous. Yeah, I know, and I like Sonya,
Yeah,
and so I'm.
but Sonya has secrets that they.
Yeah,
need to,
now she's met Forever number 8.
Right.
They don't want her telling Forever number 7.
Right. And Forever 7's has exhibited quite a bit of attitude in this issue.
Yeah.
Because she really doesn't like that
Her
sister.
Joanna,
Well, because that's the sister
screw you.
that played the games with the brother and the whole.
Right.
Yeah, she knows
Whom
more
she
about.
saved.
Right, she knows more about. Well, yeah, saved and then it got worse for him. But anyway, but yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting because, of course, Forever's struggling with trying to get herself back up into working condition because, of course, she had her limbs blown off
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. So she's trying to push it to get that. Not probably solely because she wants to go back and help her family, but because she knows she needs to be up at full speed because God knows what else might go on.
True.
Right?
True.
So.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just like her. I like the relationships that she's forged with the other Lazaruses, however you want to say that. And I don't know. And what about the other Lazaruses? Did they just always think they were dealing with one Forever? Are they aware that there were other Forever incarnations?
No.
Have they been around long enough for there to have been another Forever incarnation?
I don't know. Don't know
Yeah,
what
I'm
it
really
says.
curious about all of that, and I don't know.
But I
if
doubt any of them know. I doubt any
Yeah.
of them know that.
And I was
there's more than
right. It was the doctor guy that was helping Dad was the kid that was sent to school, because he doesn't have his degree yet, but
You're
he's
right.
been.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I was right to say I was right. I was saying that because it's a plot point where Joanna trumps
Right.
on her sister and insists that we send him home because he hasn't
Right, been vetted.
been vetted properly,
Mhm.
even though he is the person who essentially just saved Dad's life.
Right.
So he's at home and getting to see his family.
Right, which then gets us back to the other girl that Forever saved, and they'd hoped to make her, a citizen, but then couldn't because she had the breast cancer gene. So it kind of screws around a lot of stuff. But they
Right.
use her in the military anyway,
Exactly.
kind of thing. And she's the person that survives the bombing, that Forever throws her body over, and they use her body to find them because otherwise they would have been buried in rubble for their, died being buried. But being next to her, they beacon to her, pull
Right.
her body out in the process of pulling her body out. She gets saved. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of her too because I like that character.
Yeah, I do
Red,
too.
Red, right? They call her Red.
Yeah.
Because she's a redhead.
So.
But yeah, really good book.
Always.
Just really, really deep book. Lots going on in it. Even when nothing's going on in it, lots going on in it.
Yeah, and on that clean room, for me, feeling like it has, like we didn't really need every new aspect that's in there. I mean, the story was interesting enough as it was without throwing in the. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's almost too much to keep track of.
Right.
And this has a lot of
Clean room,
stuff,
okay.
but it's not too much to keep track of either.
Well, the thing is in this, nothing's bizarre. It's surprising.
That's true. If
All the work,
aliens
there's
suddenly
because there
popped
are a
up, that would
ton,
maybe
there
more
are a ton of
bizarre.
moving pieces because the world has a ton of moving pieces in it, and Greg Rucka's not shying from the fact that the world is moving around them. But they're not bizarre. They're dark and depressing,
Right.
but they're not bizarre. And Clean Room, the world's working and the world's still running and whatnot, but there's all this crazy ass shit that we have no reference to really, other than what they've shown us. So you feel, to me, it feels more overwhelming for the cleaning room because it's stuff we can't attach it to something. The political machinations that are going here.
All that stuff is stuff
I can wrap my brain around that in some sense. The heaven, hell that we don't know a whole lot about in the clean room and some of that is a lot harder to then try and keep all those moving pieces together, kind of a thing. I think is part of where that comes from.
Right.
And then the final issue is Rumble, issue number 12.
Where we get some history of him in his original body.
Right.
More.
Because in the current timeline, his body is stolen. They found his body. He wants to be back in his body. Rach does, as opposed to being in the Scarecrow. Right. But he needs to keep the body around. Somebody stole the body because he needs the heart. Get the heart back. Get the body. Get himself back to being who he was. But the person who stole the body is going to go destroy the body, and at the last moment decides, no, kind of like being in this body. I'm going to keep it. But it looks like he's destroyed it. So they're freaking out because it looks like he's destroyed it.
Right.
The cool thing for me about this book, this issue, is it places when the hell all this happened versus where we are now. He refers to the Paul Bunyan land as being the place of the gods, which I think is funny because the gods are all toppled over because the Paul Bunyan's tipped over and all that aspect and whatnot. But this happened way back before the dawn of man because they refer to the fact that he's clearing out those little Ghibli things that he hates, the Uric,
I think.
He's clearing them out because they all have to be cleared out and gotten rid of so the Age of Man can move forward.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So now, I mean, granted that means that, if we plant that in reality, that all this stuff happened before there were, people and dinosaurs and whatever. But anyway, but that at least places us in some sort of a timeline as to where do these people exist at? Are they in some alternate reality? How do they storm around us without us knowing about it, without our ancestors knowing about it? Well, this is how it all existed before that as a whole.
Right.
Cool as always. The visuals, the dynamics, the visceralness of the art in the book is just really cool. There's always some sort of cool fight scene in it where they're chopping heads and whacking things.
I like all the characters, and you get to see the origin of the Hydra thingy, and how mighty and huge it was, and now it's like this little tiny pet.
Right. It's basically a dog, a big dog.
Yes.
All those aspects. I mean, I don't 100% know where the story's going, other than the simplest of, here was this warrior, he wants his body back
and his heart back,
so he can go back to being who he
he's
was.
being assisted by these two people, one of whom had up until very recently an enormous crush on this lady.
Yeah. So I'm still really enjoying it. I mean, as far as it being depthy, I'm not sure if that's there or whatnot, but I'm just really intrigued and like I said, visually, art-wise, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where this.
Fond of it.
Right. I don't know where this other story's going to. I don't know that it's got this heavy plot to it, but still just a really cool book. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're good. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. See you next time.
Bye.